Welcome, the rare gems. Sigma women. Women who walk their own path, who stand out not because they crave attention, but because their presence is powerful. You're not just a part of the crowd. You're someone who defines what it means to be independent, thoughtful, and true to yourself. You've probably been called cold or detached by those who don't understand you. But what they see as coldness, you know as clarity. The truth is, you're selective about who gets to know the real you. And sometimes you need to pull back, go cold, and protect your peace. Cold switching isn't about being harsh. It's about knowing when to keep a distance to safeguard your own energy. It's a way of choosing who and what is worth your time and presence. Because as a Sigma woman, you value quality over quantity in everything, especially in relationships. So here are 10 reasons why Sigma women cold switch. Not because they're unkind, but because they've learned to prioritize what truly matters. As you read, let these reasons remind you of your strength, your wisdom, and the courage it takes to protect yourself in a world that too often asks you to give too much. Let's get started. The rare gems. To gain a deeper insight, I encourage you to watch the entire video for some bonus points at the end and share your thoughts in the comments below. Number 1. They switch as a way to avoid becoming a character in someone else's narrative. Sigma women are fiercely independent. They live by their own script, not someone else's. And they can always tell when someone's trying to cast them in a role they didn't audition for. The moment a Sigma woman senses that she's becoming just a character in someone else's story, she'll hit the cold switch. It's her way of saying thanks, but no thanks to being boxed into any one-dimensional role. Think of it like this. Say someone tries to pin her as the quiet one, the mysterious girl, or some other label they've made up. A Sigma woman knows she's more complex than that. She's got layers, like a well-crafted plot. The last thing she wants is to be reduced to a typecast role that doesn't capture who she really is. So instead of playing along, she goes cold, takes a step back, and lets the person realize that she's not here to be anyone's side character. This isn't just about pride or ego, it's about authenticity. Sigma women value their individuality above all else, and they're not about to compromise that just to make someone else's narrative feel more complete. By cold switching, they reclaim control over how they're seen, making it clear that they'd rather walk alone than play a part that feels fake. And here's the funny thing. People often don't get it at first. They're left wondering, wait, where did she go? But for a Sigma woman, that's kind of the point. She'd rather be a mystery than a label. So if someone tries to put her in a box, they'll soon find out that she's already moved on, leaving them to wonder what the real story was all along. Number 2. They seek to eliminate unnecessary attachments to strengthen their core identity. Sigma women don't believe in carrying unnecessary baggage, especially when it comes to relationships. For them, connections only hold value when they're genuine and align with their true self. So, when they feel a relationship starting to veer off track or cling too tightly, they cold switch. It's not about being distant for the sake of it. It's about trimming the emotional clutter. Imagine a Sigma woman's life like a carefully curated closet. She doesn't hang on to things she doesn't need or love, and she's certainly not keeping any just-in-case items lying around. If a relationship doesn't feel authentic or begins to weigh her down, she's going to let it go, no questions asked. Each cold switch is a way for her to check, does this connection actually add value, or is it just taking up space? Now here's the humorous part. People often misinterpret this as her being hard to connect with or even heartless. But in truth, it's like her way of spring cleaning. She's not going to let her identity get cluttered with attachments that don't resonate with her core. And let's be honest, she'd rather be seen as too selective than allow her life to get messy with people who don't fit. For a Sigma woman, this isn't about being ruthless. It's about being clear-headed and keeping her sense of self strong. She values her identity too much to let it get diluted by every passing connection. So, if she goes cold, it's because she's asking herself if this attachment is worth carrying. And if it's not, Well, it's better for everyone if she leaves the space open for something real. Number 3. They value inner peace over social approval. For Sigma women, inner peace isn't just a luxury. It's a non-negotiable necessity. Social approval, on the other hand, is about as valuable to them as a second-hand sweater at a thrift store. If something or someone is disrupting their peace, they won't hesitate to switch off emotionally and pull back. Cold switching is their quiet way of cutting ties with any situation that threatens their calm or clashes with their core values. Unlike many who bend over backward to fit in or gain approval, Sigma women are fiercely protective of their inner world. If being around certain people or being involved in specific situations creates tension, drama, or stress, they won't stick around for the sake of looking good or being liked. They understand that maintaining peace is more important than staying in a situation that feels off or out of alignment with who they are. Cold switching is their subtle way of protecting that peace. When they sense that something or someone is beginning to compromise their calm, they go cold, drawing a clear boundary. They don't need to announce it with a dramatic exit or confrontational speech. They simply step back. For Sigma women, it's not about making a scene, but about maintaining a space where their thoughts, feelings, and energy can flow freely without interference. In a world that constantly seeks validation and external approval, Sigma women know that peace starts from within. If keeping their peace means distancing themselves from people or situations, they'll do it without a second thought. Because in the end, no amount of social acceptance can replace the tranquility they find in staying true to themselves. Number 4, the prove your value first mindset. Sigma. Women don't believe in handing out VIP passes to their lives. They make you earn it. It's not about playing games or putting people through tests for fun. It's about protecting their energy and making sure that only the right people get close. When they cold switch, it's often because they're in prove your value first mode. They've seen enough in life to know that not everyone who's friendly is a friend, and not everyone who shows up is here to stay. Think of it like a screening process. If someone can't handle a bit of distance, they're unlikely to be there when things get tough. By going cold, Sigma women weed out the ones who are just passing through and keep only the ones who have real staying power. It's a litmus test for loyalty and consistency. This isn't about expecting perfection from others. It's about expecting stability. A Sigma woman values depth, consistency, and loyalty over flattery and temporary charm. Her cold switch isn't a sign of disinterest. It's a way of asking, are you here for the long haul? If the answer is yes, the person will stay and prove it, warmth or not. If the answer is no, they'll drift away. And that's exactly the point. Only the genuine make it through, and that's how she keeps her circle solid and her life drama-free. Number 5. They switch off to avoid projecting their own vulnerabilities. Sigma women know themselves inside and out, the good, the bad, and the stuff that sometimes keeps them up at night. They're introspective by nature, and because of that, they're highly aware of their own vulnerabilities. And let's be real, everyone has their own internal baggage. But instead of letting their issues bleed into every relationship, they'd rather hit pause, go cold, and sort through their own stuff on their own. This isn't about shutting people out or acting distant to play hard to get. In fact, it's often the opposite. Sigma women switch off precisely because they don't want to project their insecurities onto others. If they're going through something personal, they don't feel it's fair to let those inner battles spill out and impact the people around them. It's like giving their emotions a quick time out so they can get things in check. Think of it like this. If a Sigma woman suddenly seems distant, she's not pulling some emotional vanishing act just for kicks. She's actually showing a kind of respect to herself and to the people in her life. By creating a bit of distance, she's making sure she doesn't bring unnecessary tension or unresolved issues into the relationship. And when she's ready to switch back on, she returns with her head clear and her emotions in line, all set to be fully present. So, if a Sigma woman hits the off switch, it's not a red flag. It's actually a sign of her self-awareness and her commitment to keeping things as healthy and honest as possible. She'd rather go a little cold for a moment than let her unresolved stuff cloud the connection. We appreciate you, Rare Gems, for being a treasured subscriber. Your consistent support is vital to us and fuels our passion for delivering meaningful content. Thank you for your engagement and encouragement. Number 6. They use the switch as a dark mode for relationships. For Sigma women, cold switching isn't about cutting people off. It's about flipping to dark mode in relationships. Think of it like switching your phone to dark mode. It's easier on the eyes, reduces glare, and lets you focus on what's actually on the screen. In the same way, Sigma women switch to their own version of dark mode to see relationships more clearly, without the warm glow of emotions blurring things. When they're in light mode, Sigma women are fully present, kind, and engaged. But when they feel it's time to take a step back, they'll go into dark mode, creating emotional distance not as a rejection but as a tool for perspective. It's a way for them to look at the relationship objectively. Seeing who this person is when the Sigma isn't showering them with attention and warmth. They want to see the real deal, the unscripted, unfiltered version of the person they're dealing with. Here's the humor in it. People often get confused, wondering if they've done something wrong, but in reality, it's just a Sigma woman running her quality check. She's checking to see if the relationship holds up in different lighting, so to speak. If it does, she'll switch back to light mode, but if it doesn't, well, it was good to know. For Sigma women, this dark mode isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's how they protect their energy and ensure they're not pouring themselves into relationships that aren't real. So if a Sigma woman suddenly goes dark on you, take it as a chance to show your real self, no filters. Because that's the side she truly wants to see before deciding if you're worth switching the light back on. Number 7. They're hyper-aware of manipulation tactics. Sigma women have a sixth sense for spotting manipulation. You know that feeling when you walk into a room and can just tell someone's about to try and sell you something? That's the level of alertness Sigma women have all the time. They're finely tuned to catch the smallest signs of selfish motives or hidden agendas, and when they sense even a whiff of manipulation, they're out. They don't need to wait and see. They cold switch and shift into an emotional neutrality that's basically manipulation-proof. For them, this isn't about being paranoid or suspicious of everyone. It's about protecting their own peace. Sigma women know that manipulative people often rely on emotional engagement to get what they want, so they cut that off entirely. Think of it like an emotional firewall. The moment they suspect someone's trying to steer their feelings or actions for personal gain, they shut it down, go cold, and stop giving any emotional fuel that could be used against them. Here's where the humor kicks in. The manipulators usually don't see it coming. They're used to people either confronting them or falling for their charm. But a Sigma woman, she'll just go blank. She won't give them anger, attention, or affection, just silence. They're left wondering what happened to the warm, engaging person they were talking to 2 minutes ago while she's already moved on with her peace intact. So, if you're dealing with a Sigma woman and she suddenly seems distant, ask yourself why. She's not playing hard to get. She's making sure you're not trying to get something you didn't earn, and that's why she's unshakable. Number 8. They're intolerant of emotional games. Sigma women don't have the time or patience for emotional games. Whether it's jealousy, passive aggression, or some calculated charm to manipulate them, they can spot these tactics from a mile away. And when they do, it's like a light switch flicking off. They cold switch. It's not that they're angry, they're just refusing to play along. Imagine someone trying to get under your skin with some petty drama, and you just don't care. That's Sigma women in a nutshell. They'll sense the energy shift the second it starts. The passive-aggressive comments, the over-the-top compliments that seem more like fishing for validation than genuine affection, or the hidden agendas disguised as friendly gestures. And the moment they feel it, they're done. They don't need the emotional chaos. They'd rather sit in silence than engage in nonsense. The beauty of this cold switch is that it's not done out of spite or hostility. It's just them setting a boundary. It's like when someone tries to argue with you, but you're just too unbothered to participate. Sigma women don't want to waste their time in low-energy dynamics or messy emotional tug-of-wars. They're not here for the drama. They've seen it all before and know it only drains their energy. So if you ever catch a Sigma woman suddenly pulling away, don't take it personally. She's not angry or upset. She's simply telling you in the most peaceful way possible that she's not about to waste her time playing your emotional games. She's already decided. If you want her time, you'll have to bring something real, not some half-hearted mind tricks. Number 9. They know when they're being tested. Sigma women have an uncanny ability to detect when someone is trying to test them. Whether it's withholding affection, playing hot and cold, or trying to provoke a reaction to feed their own ego, Sigma women see right through it. They're not fooled by these little power plays, and they certainly aren't interested in playing the game. The moment they sense someone is trying to test their loyalty, worth, or emotional reactions, they cold switch. It's not about being petty. It's simply their way of saying, "Nice try, but I'm not here to validate your insecurities." They don't need to prove their worth to anyone, and they sure aren't going to jump through hoops for someone else's amusement. This cold switch is a signal that Sigma women are firm in their self-awareness. They know their value and aren't about to lower their standards just to make someone else feel better. So when someone tries to pull these emotional tricks, Sigma women pull back. They don't react the way the tester expects, and that's exactly the point. They refuse to engage in a cycle of insecurity and validation, and instead, they go cold to remind the other person that they don't need their approval. It's a simple but powerful way to stop the game in its tracks. Sigma women are not here for the drama. If someone needs to test them for reassurance, they'll just quietly step back. They've already decided that their time and emotional energy are far too valuable to waste on anyone who's fishing for validation or testing their reactions. If you're looking for approval, you're not going to find it here. Number 10. They're not here to make others comfortable. Sigma women are not in the business of making others comfortable. It's not that they're intentionally abrasive or trying to be difficult. They're just not interested in dimming their light or changing who they are just to make someone else feel at ease. If someone can't handle their authenticity, that's not their problem, and they'll make sure their behavior reflects that. Cold switching in this case is their way of drawing a clear line. If someone is uncomfortable with their no-nonsense approach or their unapologetic personality, Sigma women aren't going to waste time adjusting to fit someone else's comfort level. Instead of forcing themselves to soften their edges, they'll pull back. They'll go cold, and in doing so, they're silently saying, "This is who I am. Take it or leave it." What's beautiful about this cold switch is that it's all about integrity. Sigma women value authenticity above all else. They don't mold themselves to fit into other people's expectations, especially if those expectations are based on false ideas of who they should be. So when they feel like someone is trying to pressure them into being something they're not, they simply go cold. It's not a malicious act. It's just a way for them to stay true to themselves. If someone can't handle their honesty, strength, or independence, the Sigma woman will quietly retreat. She's not going to twist herself into a pretzel just to make someone else feel comfortable. In the end, she's too busy being her real self to care about anyone else's discomfort. If you're still here, you're truly a rare gem, constantly seeking knowledge to grow and better yourself for your own sake. Here's a bonus point. Most Sigma women use absence as a silent test of resilience. For Sigma women, absence isn't about creating distance for the sake of drama or manipulation. It's about testing the strength of a relationship in a subtle yet profound way. Rather than calling out issues or confronting people head-on, they step back to see how the connection holds up when they're not in the spotlight. Cold switching becomes a way to gauge whether the bond is built on genuine trust, respect, and emotional resilience, or if it's just another fleeting interaction based on superficial validation. The beauty of this approach is that it's not about the immediate response. It's about seeing if the relationship can survive the absence. Sigma women don't need constant attention or reassurance to know if someone values them. They don't want to feel like they're chasing affection or approval. So when they pull back, they're testing whether the other person is secure enough in themselves to sustain the connection without requiring constant affirmation. If the relationship falters during these cold switches, She recognizes that it wasn't built to last in the first place. This absence is a silent but powerful statement. It's a way of saying, I value depth over constant interaction. It's a reminder that true connections aren't based on needy dependence, but on mutual respect and understanding that can endure even when things aren't constantly in motion. So when a Sigma woman goes cold, it's not an act of rejection. It's her way of letting time reveal who's truly meant to stay in her life. If you can handle the quiet, the distance, and the long game, you've earned a place in her world. In a world full of noise, Sigma women are the quiet force that moves through it all with strength and clarity. Cold switching isn't just a tactic. It's a tool they use to stay true to themselves and protect their emotional well-being. It's their way of carving out space for authenticity, ensuring they're not manipulated or trapped by others' expectations. What's clear from these 10 reasons is that Sigma women don't follow the crowd. They lead themselves. They know their worth, and they won't waste their energy trying to make others comfortable or chase approval. Instead, they focus on cultivating peace, respecting their boundaries, and living according to their own set of values. Every time a Sigma woman switches off, it's not out of pettiness, but out of purpose. It's a way for them to filter through the noise and see who's genuinely worth their time. They're not here for emotional games or drama, and they certainly aren't here to make others feel comfortable at the cost of their own peace. They'll step back when they need to, not because they're afraid, but because they're strong enough to prioritize their emotional health and boundaries. So, if you're a Sigma woman, know this. You're not cold. You're just protecting your energy. You're not distant. You're creating space for what really matters. And while others might not understand your cold switch, that's okay. You don't need their approval to continue being the powerhouse you are. Keep walking to the beat of your own drum. Your strength and clarity will always lead you to the right people and the right path. Thank you, rare gems, for tuning in. Stay safe and stay vigilant as always. God bless.